Proceeding further, I request Shri Arvind Agrawal, Director Journal, Sardar Patel Institute of Public Administration, to give his welcome address and introductory remarks.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you all to the fourth public lecture in the series of such public lectures initiated by the Sardar Patel Institute of Public Administration together with the Pan IIT Gujarat chapter. It is a pleasure, indeed an honor for me to welcome Mr. Pavan Verma, whom I have the pleasure of introducing to you here today. But first, a few words about the public lecture series initiated by the Sardar Patel Institute of Public Administration. As a part of our diversified activities, we started in May 2012 this lecture series. The first we had by Dr. Alan Lichman, Professor of History in USA, who spoke about the US presidential elections. He has, to his credit, having forecast the last 7 US presidential elections with absolute precision. And he does it. He has written many books on the subject and done doctorate on the subject. The second, in June, was by Mr. Ashok Chawla, former Secretary Finance Government of India and currently the Chairman Competition Commission of India. A very enlightening session on competition law and the common man. The third we had in August, which was on doing business with China. As you are well aware, China has been the most talked of country in the last 2 or 3 decades. And it has already become the number 2 global economic power, inching towards becoming number 1. And for Gujaratis who are entrepreneurial and business-minded, doing business with China is a very, very important issue. China, some people feel, is a difficult or a different country to do business with. And that was the lecture we arranged for our entrepreneurs and other like-minded people. Today, friends, we have the honor to have with us Mr. Pavan Verma. Mr. Verma is a retired Indian Foreign Service officer of 1978 batch. Graduating in history and law, the writer-diplomat Mr. Pavan K. Verma joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1976. He was conferred an honorary doctorate degree by the University of Indianapolis, USA, for his contribution to the fields of diplomacy, literature, culture, and aesthetics. Mr. Verma has served in many important positions during his illustrious career. The last one, just before taking voluntary retirement, he was India's ambassador to Bhutan. A writer of depth and insight, he has written over a dozen books which you may have perused outside the auditorium. And from that we get to see the wide variety and range of subjects that he has tackled with. The India theme is the core of his love and his writing. Being Indian, be Indian, the great Indian middle class, and now Chanakya's new manifesto. But the most important, I feel, is that taking along the India theme, he has written on other diverse subjects such as on Ghalib. He has written on Lord Krishna. He has translated poetry of renowned poets of the country, including Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Kafi Azmi, and Gulzar. He has written a book on the Havelis of Delhi, which shows his very diverse mind and knowledge. He has also translated poetries and written on other diverse subjects, which you may have seen. But what is most important for us is that he is not a pessimist. He does not just criticize. There are people, it's very easy to find faults and very easy to criticize. But Mr. Pavan Verma offers solutions. It is for us, for the citizens, to examine how far we can imbibe those solutions in our functioning, our day-to-day government work or outside government work. It is for the government functionaries to see how they can use the solutions to the best advantage for our country and our people. And this offering solutions, he has done excellently in his book Chanakya's New Manifesto. How relevant is Chanakya's philosophy today, even 2300 years later? Mr. Pavan Verma, after taking voluntary retirement from the Indian Foreign Service a few months ago, currently is the advisor culture to the Chief Minister of Bihar in the rank of Cabinet Minister. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, I would request you all to give a round of applause to Mr. Pavan Verma, and I welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I request Shri Arvind Agarwal to present a bouquet to Pavan Verma, sir. Now I request Shri Sunil Parekh, founder and chairman, Pan IIT Gujarat Alumni Association, to take over and introduce today's topic, Ancient Civilization, Young Republic, a solution to the crisis in modern.
Governance, the functioning of democracy, corruption, national security, and the building of a genuinely inclusive society. Where was I? You broke my train of thought. You see, I decided that if we take up these issues, then you must take the issue and then come out with a solution. As Arvindji said, I am an optimist. कुछ बात है कि हस्ती मिटती नहीं हमारी, पर कब तक उभरेगी कौन जानता है। बाद मरने के मेरे बाहर आई. How long? How much wasted potential? Even if the system does not collapse, please try to compute the lost potential. Year after year after year. Who's going to be responsible? In the ebb and flow of life and daily routine, we believe if we close our eyes, तो कल तो शायद सुबह अच्छी होगी. But please understand this, and I say this with seriousness, and I say it as an optimist. This is not a crisis about an individual. It is not a crisis about one party. It is not a crisis about one international economic crisis. And it is not a crisis which will go away with the next general elections. A systemic crisis requires a systemic response. Now, why is it systemic? You see, the real problem is, and I do not have time to go into the details of the book. The book is available. Please take the trouble to read it, because I always tell even the young, I meet the young a lot and I tell them, mere anger, mere alienation, mere discontent, even if you express it on Rasaina Hill next to Rashtrapati Bhavan, means nothing. It will be, if it is just that, it will be co-opted, subsumed, derailed and taken over by the establishment. Anger must engage with ideas. Then it becomes a potent force. Then you produce something. So what is the problem? So you have to read. I wish I could have written Chanakya's New Manifesto as a love story or a romance or easy fiction. But not possible. These are concrete situations. I will still say with great humility it's readable. But I can't make it sexy, you know. It's straight and simple facts about our life which we must engage with. Now, what is the real problem where governance and democracy? Put your finger on the problem. I have put it on it as I see it. Today, as far as both these areas are concerned, we are in a situation which was not envisaged by our constitution makers. Our constitution makers envisaged a situation where democratic elections will throw up a party with a stable majority, which will then have 5 years to govern, to give back to the people why they voted them in power in the first place. Now, for the last 15 years, I'm talking of Centre, for the last 15 years we have seen that that one banyan party rule is over and we have coalitions of 22 or 24 member parties, either with wafer thin majorities or precarious majorities. As a result of it, all energies go to political management and survival, and very little is left to governance. I am not against the proliferation of parties. In a sense, it is the democratization of politics. There was a situation where the Congress party, as the Banyan party, kept getting repeated majorities in parliament. But there were other voices waiting to be heard. Today they have a chance. I was once in the Prime Minister's office, and when cabinet meetings were held, there was one MP who was from a party of which he was the sole MP. एक आदमी की पार्टी थी. But majority was also only one. So, whatever happened, people heard him. That is not the issue. I am not against that. I am against the fact that when so many parties have arisen and governments are formed by 22, 24 member coalitions, what do we need to do with the system so that it becomes a functioning and effective means of governance as well? Because if all energies go to political management and survival, तो फिर आम आदमी का क्या होगा? That is the problem. You cannot have governance without democracy, because governance will become authoritarian. And you cannot have democracy without governance, because that takes away the very faith for which people vote in elections. And the amazing alchemy that happens is that when governments are unstable inherently, even when they govern, they adopt short-term populist policies. They are living for the next week, not for the next few years. They adopt populist policies and refuse to engage with long-term solutions to foundational problems. Who suffers? And it changes the nature of the opposition also. The opposition, instead of being a constructive critique of government in the interests of the people, becomes what is called a predatory opposition. It is less concerned with the merits of an issue or demerits. It is more concerned what is the potential of that issue to either embarrass or topple the government. So all around, all the constituents then produce the great sound and fury of democracy, but alas, not the light and enlightenment of governance. Kya kare? That is the question before the nation. I propose a solution. I propose a solution which is doable under the law. A great deal of it is based on recommendations already made by the Election Commission. And essentially that is that the voter cannot be taken for a ride anymore. I say to you that if coalitions have become the norm, Arvindji, I hope this is not becoming too political, but it's all about public administration. I say to you that if coalitions have become the norm, by and large, I ask all coalitions to announce who their constituents will be prior to the elections. You don't have to agree with me. Please come up with better solutions. That is my feeling. I was told the other day that no, coalitions can be formed after the elections. I said that happens mostly, if not entirely, when individual parties fight. Then they are short of a majority. Then they look to form a coalition. But here people are going ab initio with coalitions. Why should the voter have a situation where he votes for party A because he doesn't like party B, then finds after the elections that party A and party B are sleeping in the same bed? Why? Who has been fooled? कुछ तो सिद्धांत होंगे, कुछ आपकी सोच होगी जिसमें, अच्छा सोच अपने आप तो आती नहीं है पॉलिटिकल क्लास को. So I say that once you have this pre-announced coalition, among many other things, it must at least do two things. One, it must announce who its prime ministerial candidate will be. The prime minister is a very important fulcrum of the polity. You cannot have an individual chosen because of intra-coalition compromises and put there, who cannot govern, who doesn't have leadership qualities, who has no vision, or even if he has, it has long gone to sleep. And secondly, that entire coalition must pledge itself to a new document which I call the governance agenda. This is not the manifesto. The manifesto promises everything under the sun and sky. The Election Commission has provided a prototype of a workmanlike document, not long specific, on what will be your governance agenda if you come to power. The people are entitled to know before their vote is taken for a ride. I wish to know who is it that is going to be part of this coalition, who its leader will be, and what its governance agenda will be. I am not your cannon fodder so that you come to power. I am the voter. I am entitled to know. Now on this basis, if say that a coalition comes to power, pledged prior to the elections to be part of the coalition, and pledged to a governance agenda placed before the people, and having received the people's vote on that basis, it comes to power. I propose that all the members of that coalition have a lock-in period for 3 years when none can withdraw support. It is very much like the Anti-Defection Law. That is also an infringement of absolute democratic choice. But you introduced it in order to make democracy functional, where you curbed an individual proclivity in order to preserve the effectiveness and ethics and rectitude of this polity as a whole. You've come together, you've pledged together, you wish to... Now, no one party can hold that to ransom for a minimum period of 3 years lock-in period. At least then for 3 years, you have, without the threat of political instability, the possibility of governance. People can take decisions. I was told, will this not become tyrannical? I said, in the past, when you had one party with 401 seats come to power, how was it different? Nobody could topple it. It could take any decisions almost under the sun. It had such an absolute majority. So what is wrong in creating a situation which is a democratic artifice, ek zariya hai, that you hold together this coalition and say, you have pledged to this governance of agenda. It's not 30 years that you must be brothers with each other. 3 saal. And after that, if you wish to leave, you can form a new government, but only for a remaining 2-year period, where again there will be a lock-in period for 2 years. But the voter does not forget, if you left a well-functioning coalition government only for opportunist reasons for 2 years, it will punish you. That is one idea, among many others. But then how do we otherwise resolve it? Otherwise, next year we have elections. I can guarantee you, the horse trading, the multiplicity of coalition partners, everything will happen except the promise of governance. In democracy, there are many other challenges. The biggest is electoral reform. Biggest, that is the beach of both corruption and so much that is ill. This evening I am speaking to judges and lawyers in Delhi. I am going to tell them, koi aur nahi karega to aap hi initiative lijiye. All the proposals for change are already recommended by the Election Commission. I was once speaking, sir, at the Lal Bahadur Academy, which I go every year to address, and before me, Veerappa Moily Sahib had spoken. Now he has authored a report, an 800-page report called the Second Administrative Reforms Commission. So I began by saying that you just heard a speaker who has not read 3 pages of his own report. It lies in गोदाम में पड़ी रहती है, बेस्ट आइडियाज, कोई पढ़ने को तैयार नहीं है, कोई सोचने को तैयार नहीं है, तो भाई देश का उद्धार कहां से होगा? One provision for black money and politics, one provision. Today there is a law which says that political parties can receive donations by not naming the donor, provided the donation is less than 20,000 rupees. Parties have collected hundreds of crores without knowing where it's come from. They say, sabne sab 19,999. The Election Commission has recommended time and again that this law be repealed. And it can be. And all bank, गड़बड़ी और थोड़ी बहुत तो ये तो बड़ा मुश्किल है हिंदुस्तान में पूरा हटाना, but systemic change means all financial transactions must be done through the bank. Today there is technology which can digitally track most financial movements. Your party's accounts will be vetted by a chartered accountant appointed by the Election Commission and the Enforcement Directorate. Your accounts will be on website. It will be under the RTI. If you are caught, both the donor and the party will be penalized, including deregistering. Steps that can be taken, that have been recommended by the Election Commission. The Election Commission tells me that every time it goes up to the Standing Committee of Parliament, every time they send up 23 proposals, the Standing Committee of Parliament sends them all back except adopting 2, that policemen should wear longer shirts and wear better caps. To all these proposals. गालिब की शेर याद है, हर एक बात पे कहते हो तुम के तू क्या है, तुम ही कहो कि ये अंदाज़े गुफ्तगू क्या है. They propose, they dispose. I was telling a vast gathering of students the other day, do nothing else. Use your greatly magnified powers through the cyber world. 1 million petitions that before the next election, Parliament must fulfill its promise of convening a special session of Parliament only on electoral reform, criminalization of politics. What is the problem? I was discussing this 2 days ago with a Supreme Court judge. He said, yes, it should be done, it's doable. Today, what's the situation? A politician accused of a criminal act, he remains qualified to be in democratic politics unless he is proven guilty. In other words, you are innocent unless proven guilty. So, a particular chief minister was accused in 95. He had to resign. He thought his wife is the best substitute. He made her the chief minister. Subsequently, thanks to our dilatory judicial proceedings, he became the railway minister of India. You have to resign there, but you have not yet ever been proven guilty. In 2004, his party becomes part of the ruling coalition. The case is conveniently given to CBI. The CBI in 2012 only frames charges. I'm sure he'll occupy some more cabinet posts. So the principle is very simple. Where democratic politics are concerned, if there is a criminal charge, I have proposed this, if there is a criminal charge and the court sees prima facie reason to frame charges, you are debarred from democratic politics unless proven innocent. Because in 2004, there was a hue and cry because 28% of our parliament consisted of parliamentarians with criminal records. In 2009, after that hue and cry, the figure went up to 33%, of which 14%. By the way, see, you have to stand up proud and say, I am an Indian. 14% have heinous crimes against them of murder, abduction, rape, dacoity. And they are there making laws for you. And they are saying we are innocent unless proven guilty. So you have to change this. You have to put it on its head. And you have to have fast-track courts for it so that decisions are taken in 4 months, the number of appeals are reduced. Once convicted, even if you go on appeal, you are debarred from politics, because in the temple of democracy, only those who are indisputably clean in terms of their public profile have the right to represent Indians. That is the requirement. It can be done. It's already proposed. Take one guess who is preventing it from happening. It's the members of parliament themselves. So we have to think. Similarly, the absence of inner party democracy. The way our parliament functions. See, please start thinking. In the entire history of the House of Commons in the United Kingdom, Parliament has not been adjourned for a single day.